Bhagavatam Chanja Astadada Shishimad. His Divine Grace Shiva A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Tridandi Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Chanja Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Param Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samavekta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vastaya Buddhave, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Vishata. I don't see the board here. Are we on 3, 9, 11 today?
11.
3, 9,
3, 9.
2? Oh, it is 3, 9, 11. Okay. You held up 2 fingers. It's like number 2.
11.
11 is. This is 2. Although written form, you know. So today we are blessed by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, with an opportunity to study his purport and translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, text number 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Rit Saroje Ase Shruta Ikshita Pata Nanu Nata Umsam Yat Yat Diya Te Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tat Tat Vapu Pranayase Sat Anugrahaya Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja Ase Sirukshita Prato. I think a better tune, another tune would be better than that. Let's try the Brahma Samhita tune. Savam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja. Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja. Ase Titekshita Pato Nananata Pumsam. Ase Titekshita Pato Nananata Pumsam. Yad Yad Diyat Taduragaya Vibhavayanti. Yad Yad Diyat Taduragaya Vibhavayanti. Tat Tat Vapu Pranayase Tananugrahaya. Tat Vapu Pranayase Tananugrahaya. Svam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja. Svam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja. Ase Sutekshita pato naninata pumsam.
Aseshu Ekshita Pato Nanunata Pumsam.
Yad yad diyata duragaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad diyata duragaya vibhavayanti.
Tat tad vapu pranayase tadanugrahaya.
Tat tad vapu pranayase tadanugrahaya.
Someone else?
Vam bhakti yoga paribhavitarita saroja.
Vam bhakti yoga paribhavitarita saroja.
Ase sute sita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Ase sute sita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Yad yad dhiyata arugaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad dhiyata arugaya vibhavayanti.
Tadvapupanasaya sad anugrahaya.
Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Aseshu tekshita pato naninata pumsam.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunata pumsam.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Tad vapu pranayase sat anugrahaya.
Tad vapu pranayase sat anugrahaya.
Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Tat tad vapu pranayase sadunagrahaya.
Tad vapu pranayase sadunagrahaya.
Ladies,
Vam bhakti yoga paribhavitarita saroja.
Vam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunata pumsam.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad diyata durgaya vibhavayanti.
Tad vapu pranayase sadanugrahaya.
Tat tat vapu pranayase tanugrahaya.
Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Aseshu tekshita pato nanunatha pumsam.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Yad yad diyata urugaya vibhavayanti.
Tat vapu pranayase sadanugrahaya.
Tat tat vapu pranayase tanugrahaya. Tvam unto you. Bhakti yoga in devotional service. Paribhavita, being 100% engaged.
Being 100% engaged.
Rit of the heart.
Of the heart.
Saroje,
Saroje.
on the lotus.
On the lotus.
Ase,
Ase.
you reside.
You reside.
Shruta ikshita,
Shruta ikshita.
seen through the ear.
Seen through the ear.
Pata,
Patata.
the path.
The path.
Nanu,
Nanu.
now.
Now.
Nata,
Nata.
oh my Lord.
O my Lord.
Pumsam,
Pumsam.
of the devotee.
On the devotee.
Yat yat,
Yat yat.
whichever.
Whichever.
Diya,
Diya.
by meditating.
By meditating.
Te, your.
Your.
Urugaya,
Urugaya.
oh multi-glorious.
Almighty glorious.
vibhavayanti.
Vibhavayanti.
They specifically think of
We specifically think of
tat tat,
Tat
the very same
the very same
vapu,
Vapu,
transcendental form,
transcendental form.
pranayase,
Pranayase.
do you manifest,
Do you manifest
sat anugrahaya,
Sat Anugrahaya
to show your causeless mercy.
to show your causeless mercy?
This is a very high-level verse today about the process of Krishna consciousness. So listen carefully. It's very, very important information that Bhagavad is giving us today. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Oh my Lord, your devotees can see through the ears of the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. Purport. The statement here that the Lord manifests himself before the devotee in the form in which the devotee likes to worship him indicates the Lord becomes subordinate to the desire of the devotee, so much that he manifests his particular form as the devotee demands. This demand of the devotee is satisfied with the Lord because he is pliable in terms of the transcendental loving service of the devotee. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Yeyatamam papanyante tanstataiva bhajamyaham. We should know, however, the Lord is never the order supplier of the devotee. Here in this verse it is particularly mentioned Vam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita. This indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of mature devotional service, or prema, love of God. This state of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees, and by such association, one can become engaged in bona fide devotional service, which includes proper initiation and the execution of the primary devotional duties prescribed in the revealed scriptures. This is clearly indicated herein by the word Shutekshita. The Shutekshita path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. By this bona fide hearing process, the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish, and thus he becomes attached to one of the many transcendental forms of the Lord as described in the Vedas. This attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to natural inclination. Each and every living entity is originally attached to a particular type of transcendental service because he is eternally the servant of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya says that the living entity is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Therefore, every living entity has a particular type of service relationship with the Lord eternally. This particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulated devotional service of the Lord, and thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. This attachment for a particular form of the Lord is called Svarut Siddhi. The Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form the pure devotee desires, and thus the Lord is not apart from the devotee, as confirmed in the previous verse. The Lord, however, does not disclose himself to a casual or inauthentic worshipper to be exploited. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:25, Naham prakasya sarvasha yogamaya samavitaha. Rather, by yogamaya, the Lord remains concealed to the non-devotees or casual devotees who are serving their sense gratification. The Lord is never visible to the pseudo-devotees who worship the demigods in charge of universal affairs. Conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of a pseudo-devotee, but he is always prepared to respond to the desires of a pure, unconditional devotee who is free from all tinges of material infection. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Balakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sagala Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saragana Ladita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shastarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panduram Yagate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatadanam. So this is a very, very high level verse actually. Very high level verse. Everyone should try to understand very carefully exactly what Prabhupada is saying here. Because if you can understand what he's saying and actually put it into practice, you'll realize the highest truth. You become resituated in your eternal sarupa with Krishna. Each one of us is an individual. You see. We don't remember it, but each one of us was an associate of the Lord in his pastimes in the spiritual world. And each one of us had a particular unique relationship with the Lord. We've forgotten it, being caught up in material sense gratification. But this verse is telling us how to go back and actually revive that particular individual sabrupa that we had with Krishna before we fell into material existence. So it's a very, very high level verse. It should be understood very carefully. Krishna actually responds to the demands of the devotee, but not the impure, not the casual or pseudo-devotee. So, we have this tendency to be pseudo-casual devotees because we're still attached to sense gratification. Right? So, we have to learn how to get over this casual pseudo-devotee kind of mentality that we're holding on to. And actually come back to pure bhakti. Absolute pure bhakti. And Prabhupada describes how we can achieve absolute pure bhakti. Very nicely. This stage of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love. That just says it right there. It's from faith to love. The beginning, it's faith. As neophytes, it's faith. We're here so we have faith. See, and that's very good. But as that faith matures, it's transformed into love, pure love of God, prema. So we have to know very carefully and properly what is that process of transforming faith into love. You see, Shraddha into prema. We have to understand what is that process. And we have to do it exactly as Prabhupada is telling us to do it. We concoct our own process, that's called Sudha Bhakti. You will never go from Shraddha to prema as a Shuddha Bhakta. You have to do it exactly as Prabhupada is telling in these books. We're all students here. I'm also a student. I'm just learning from Prabhupada. And the Prabhupada is telling us exactly how we go from Shraddha to prema. We'll read it again. We'll discuss it in more detail. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees. So the first step is faith. The second step is sadhu sangha. Just like here we are associating. Prabhupada created ISKCON as a place where we could associate with sincere devotees. Not demigod worshippers who are after material things, but those who are actually sincere to go from faith to love, from Shraddha to prema. ISKCON is a place for that. And here we have an ISKCON temple, you see. This is a place where you can engage in the cultivation of higher level consciousness that will gradually take you from Shraddha to prema. So Prabhupada continues, which includes proper initiation. So that initiation is an important step in the process. One may say, well, why do I have to be initiated? Can't I just be a devotee of Krishna? Isn't that enough? I mean, Arjuna was a devotee of Krishna. Can't it just be like that? Well, we're not in the position of Arjuna. And Arjuna was very devoted to Yudhisthira also. He wasn't just devoted to Krishna. He was very devoted to Yudhisthira. And Krishna very clearly states, our Shastra clearly states, Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhakta state jana, mad bhakshana jiye bhaktas, te me bhakta tamamata. My dear Arjuna, the one who is my devotee is not my devotee, but the devotee of my devotee. So initiation means you formally accept a bona fide spiritual master. You become totally sold out to him. He's as good as God for you. He's your absolute authority. So that's an important thing. You have to be initiated. You cannot achieve prema without diksha. You can have Shraddha without diksha, but you can't have prema without diksha. To go from Shraddha to prema, diksha has to be there in the middle. So then, what in that diksha, is it just a ceremony? Well, I got my spiritual name, I'm initiated, now I can just do whatever I want. No, now you have to accept the order of your spiritual master as your very life and soul. Just like Prabhupada did, we have to do what Prabhupada did. Prabhupada is acharya, he teaches us by example. He was totally sold out to his spiritual master. Even at the age of 70, he came with only 40 rupees. Can you imagine if your Guru Maharaj sent you to, say, go to some foreign country with only 40 rupees? And you went there, just totally gave up everything and went there. Just imagine how surrendered Prabhupada was. He had no idea of what would happen, but he knew this is the order of my... Even he had 2 heart attacks on the boat. He could have said, well, I had 2 heart attacks. The boat was going back to India. The Jaladita was spending his little time in New York unloading and unloading goods and heading back to... He could have just stayed on the boat. I had 2 heart attacks. This is too heavy. I'm just going to go back to my home in Calcutta. This is too much for me. No, but he didn't. He stayed. After 2 heart attacks, he stayed there. Could you imagine 2 heart attacks? But he stayed there. This is the order of my spiritual master, and I must stay here. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I must stay here. So we can see what it means to be totally sold out to one's spiritual master. Prabhupada is showing us exactly what that means by his example. So then by following the instructions of your Guru Maharaj very seriously, and your Guru Maharaj is telling you to follow Prabhupada's books, read the books and follow what's in these books. By doing that, gradually the anarthas, they go away. Lust goes away. Instead of becoming lusty after the opposite sex, one learns how to see it's just flesh and blood. What am I attracted to? It's just flesh and blood. Why should I be attracted to the opposite sex? It's just flesh and blood. That's all it is. You see, it's nothing substantial. Just flesh and blood. Like a pig or a dog or a monkey. It's just flesh and blood. Why am I so attracted to it? You see? So one learns philosophically how to detach oneself from love. He learns how to be free from lust, free from envy, free from greed. And one gradually cultivates this ability to get free of these anarthas. You see. And then that takes you a step closer to prema. Then you become nishta, fixed up, solidly fixed. The anarthas aren't torturing you anymore. And then you develop an incredibly sweet taste develops for Krishna consciousness. The holy name is so sweet you can go on chanting for millions of years and never get tired of it. That's called ruchi. Develops a sweet, sweet, sweet taste. It's so relishable. You can just dive forever into nama ruchi. Non-stop for all of eternity, go deeper and deeper into nama. That's the ruchi stage. Then you come to bhav, where you have the awakening of spiritual emotions within your heart. And then from there you actually go to prema, where you become reinstated in your original rasa with Krishna. Your svarupa. You actually you get back to who you really were originally before you fell down. As a cowherd boy, a cowherd girl, a cow, a monkey, a peacock, a dhoti. Everything's animate in the spirit. Even Krishna's plate that he eats off is a devotee who can be Krishna's plate. It's not just being Krishna's plate. They all have human consciousness and they all take different roles. You say, well, I wouldn't want to be a plate, I'd rather be a cowherd boy. The thing is, you get to be whatever you want. Nobody's forced into being something. Everybody in the spiritual world is exactly what they want to be. They all relish it like anything. The flute would never give up being a flute for becoming a gopi. Because the flute gets Krishna's lips more than the gopis do. You see? I wouldn't want to be one of those gopis. I want to be a flute. You see? So everyone feels their rasa is the best. Everybody is totally happy and satisfied in their particular rasa. A cowherd boy, a cowherd girl, a parental rasa, a cow, a calf, a monkey, a peacock, or whatever it may be. Everyone's told, or a bush, a tree, a canary, a pigeon. Every single living entity, and even the inanimate objects, are all pure devotees of the Lord, participating in the divine leelas. So this process will take us back to that. We have to be very careful to not be casual, inauthentic worshippers who are coming to Krishna for material things. You see? That we have to be very careful. You see? That's the difficulty in Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, all these isms, Sikhism. They all approach God, give me this, give me that, give me, give me, give me. You see? We have to get beyond that sort of mentality and give me this, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. What can I give you, my Lord? How can I fill these rooms with you, my Lord? That's the mentality we have to train ourselves to be in every minute. Even the subtle thoughts within the mind, you see. We have to learn how to always be in a mood of giving, giving, giving. How can I please you, my Lord? How can I serve you, my beloved Guru Maharaj? Always in that mood. How can I please you? Well, a good example of this was Prabhupada's sister, Pishima. She was saying, oh, you were a Vaishnava. What will you eat? What will you eat? She always wanted to cook and serve the devotees. And she was so humble. She would sit and hear the lecture of Prabhupada. And after she'd get up, she would wash where she was sitting, but I would contaminate that place where I was sitting. So she would wash the area where she was sitting.
She felt so dirty and contaminated. That was her great purity, you see. So in this way, we have to learn how to actually practice sadhana bhakti properly. And if we do that, we will make that transition from faith to love, from shraddha to prema, and we'll actually become re-situated in our internal relationships with Krishna, Swarup Siddhi. So if there's any questions now, I can try to answer them. Only one? Okay. Question. Because we have a material body, is a little sense gratification necessary? Of course. Enough to keep body and soul together. But not beyond that. Whatever you need to stay healthy, to keep yourself in good health, that much you require, but not beyond that. You don't have to go to movies. My wife and I fly all over the world. We never watch those damn movies. We don't need these movies. You can read Shastra. It's a good chance to do a lot of reading on those long flights. We had a 12-hour flight from London. We didn't watch one movie. 12 hours. We didn't even think of watching a movie. It was a good chance to get some sleep. We needed to rest anyway. We took some rest, and you chant your japa, you can read. We don't need these mundane entertainments, cinema, mundane restaurants. We don't need this stuff. Not required. Is there a day in the spiritual world? Or a dog? Yes, there must be dogs in the spiritual world. At least I know there are dogs in Chaitanya Lila. You know that dog story? It's a very nice story. This dog, he was Shivananda Sain. He was like the sponsor, the organizer for the annual pilgrimages from Mayapur to Jagannath Puri. So, as they were going, the whole throng of devotees, the Mayapur Vasis going to Jagannath Puri, this dog joined along. He started walking along with them on their pilgrimage. So they came to one river crossing, and there was no bridges. You had to take a boatman. You had to pay the boatman for each person. And the dog jumped in the boat. The boatman said, "You can't come for free. You got to pay for the dog. I'm not going to take the dog for free." So she went on to pay for the dog. And then they continued on, but then one day all of a sudden the dog was gone. What happened to the dog? No one knew where the dog was. And they got to Jagannath Puri, and the Lord Chaitanya, the dog got there before they did. The dog was there, and Lord Chaitanya, just that green mango, the green coconut, green coconut pulp. He was throwing in the coconut pulp, the dog was going, "Haribol! Haribol!" Instead of barking, he was going, "Haribol! Haribol!" And then the dog was gone. And then he had gone back to Godhead. So this is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this dog Lila. So I don't know if there's dogs in the spiritual world, there could be. There's certainly dogs in Chaitanya Lila. Drinking through the ears. We do not have experience of this. Please explain. What are you doing right now? Are you not drinking Krishna Katha through your ears? What do you mean? What do you mean you don't have an experience of it? You're doing it right now. You're drinking this nectar through your ears, isn't it? How you can say I'm not drinking? Isn't this nectar? Tell me, is this not nectar? Is it nectar or not? Who says it's nectar? Raise your hand. It's nectar. Okay. And you're drinking it through your ears. So you are drinking nectar through your ears right now. So we're having experience of it already. Okay. How do we decipher a pure devotee's exigencies, which is transcendental from a new devotee's demands for material facilities and service? I'm not that learned. What is an exigency?
Demands.
Tendencies? Propensities?
Demands. His demands.
Demands? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, Y'all are more educated in English than me. I think. Exigencies, that's pretty cool. I learned a new word in exigencies. How do we decide where a pure devotee's demands, which is transcendental from a new devotee's demands for materialistic reasons? Well, Prabhupada had many demands. He demanded we rise early in the morning, that we give up illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. The difference between the pure devotee's demands and the demands of a neophyte is the pure devotee's demands he is simply purely representing the demands of Krishna. His demands are for pure devotional service. The neophyte's demands are for sense gratification. That's the difference. Demands are there in both cases, but one demand is transcendental, and the other demand is mundane. Here's another one of demands. It is stated in the purport that Krishna responds to the demands of his devotees. This is talking about the pure devotees who want to reciprocate with Krishna in a certain sort of way. Some devotee wants to reciprocate with Krishna as his lover, you see. So Krishna, that devotee becomes a gopi. And Krishna agrees to the demand of that devotee to reciprocate as a lover. Some as a boyfriend, as a pal, so they become a coward boyfriend, you see. So that's what they're talking about, not our demands. You know, if my child is sick, what is wrong in asking him from Krishna, asking help from Krishna? Why don't you, Krishna, please heal my sick child? That's the question. Is there something wrong with that? It's not really necessary if Krishna already wants to heal your sick child. You have to do your service to take proper care of him. Of course, it is the case where Prabhupada said we could pray for his help when he was in the last day. He told us we could beg, our dear Lord Krishna, if you so desire, please cure Srila Prabhupada. But if we had to say, if you so desire, because maybe Krishna wanted him to leave the world, which he did. But that, Prabhupada did say we could pray for his recovery, but leave it up to Krishna. Not if you so desire, had to be there. So Prabhupada did have us pray for his help. That was our, intensified our loving feelings for Srila Prabhupada, actually. But we had to say, if you so desire. But generally we don't, normally we don't pray to Krishna for this and that. The best thing is, my dear Lord Krishna, please bless me that I can serve this devotee purely and perfectly. Now you can pray. You see? Praying is for our purification. We want to purify ourselves. How to develop faith in someone who does not have it? You have to be an example. You see, if you want to inspire somebody to have faith, you have to have very, very strong faith. So by associating with you, they will catch the disease. Is there any sadhana in the spiritual world? There's nothing done according to regulated principles. But everything is pure sadhana. It's spontaneous love. There's no rules and regulations in the spiritual world. That you have to chant 16 rounds, or you have to avoid illicit sex. There's no question of these things. Everything is spontaneous, pure love. Can you please explain in detail how we can reduce our material desire, especially our lusty desire? Neophyte devotees sometimes have trouble with this. I know I get letters from disciples who are having great difficulty with lust, especially young people. But even old people have difficulty. You know that story about Emperor, what was his name? Aurangzeb? Yeah. He was told by the the Brahman that sex desire remains even until the moment of death. He said, no, that couldn't be possible. He said, just you wait and I'll show you. So one day there was some man was dying. So he told the emperor, now you come and you bring your young daughter. So there is a man dying, and his emperor comes in, and the young daughter immediately looks at the young daughter instead of the emperor. He said, oh yes. So lust, even at the moment of death, one can be lusty. That's how heavy it is, lust. So how do you conquer this damn thing called lust? Well, you can beg Krishna to help you. My dear Lord Krishna, please help me to be attracted only to you and not to the opposite sex. Or for some people it's the same sex. That's really getting gross. But please help me to not be lusty, my Lord. Please, my dear Krishna, please help me, I will not be lusty. Yadavadi mama chaita Krishna padarvinde nava nava rasadam yatsadam kirmanse Tadavadi bhattamari samyane smaryamani bhavni mukhu shevanam chal. Jamunacharya Albandru, he was formerly a very lusty person. He was a king, and kings had harems in those days. They could have sex with their wife, and they have like 20 or 30 girls in their harem, they can have sex with all of them. It's pretty, talk about full facility for lust. Being a king in the old days in India, they had harems. So, but now after that very lusty lifestyle, now he's become a sadhu. But sometimes those memories of those lusty days came back to him. And he said, whenever that happens, my lips curl with this taste and I spit at the thought. So that way, you see. If you ever get lusty, think, oh, that boy over there, or that girl over there, you just spit at the thought. I'm not saying you carry a spittoon to the temple. Mentally spit. Not spit on the floor of the temple or something like that. But all of you lusty devotees, you see, all of us lusty devotees, you see. Of course, some of Guru Maharaj's never lusty. Just a minute. Those of us who are lusty, whenever it happens, we should just mentally like that, and just spit at the damn thing. That's what Jamunacharya did. It's a nice prayer. Prabhupada gives that prayer. Or you can memorize the sloka. Yadavari mamma cheta Krishna padar vinde nava nava rastadamu yaksharam tumasit tadavadi bhattanari sangame smayamane bhavadi mukur nishtivanam cha. Memorize the Sanskrit verse. If you think spitting is a bit gross, to memorize the sloka of the Sanskrit and sing it every time you get lusty. It's really powerful. Yes, Guru Mata.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be...
Let me turn on my hearing aid a little. I'll amp up my hearing aid. Okay, go ahead.
Wouldn't it be easy if you become lusty about service to Krishna? The lust will go away?
Yes, definitely. And here's another one that I sometimes advise, you see. What does lust mean? I want to make that girl pregnant, right? That's lusty. Or I want to get pregnant. That's lust. But here's the way you can transcendental, you can spiritualize your lust. Because lust means making a girl pregnant, right? So why just make one girl pregnant when you can make that whole world pregnant? You see, instead of injecting semina into that girl, why don't you think of injecting the semina of Krishna Katha into the hearts of all living entities throughout the whole material existence? It's another way to get over lust. Take your lusty tendency and dovetail it into preaching. I want to make instead of making that girl over there pregnant, I want to make the whole world pregnant with Krishna consciousness, you see. And that's called the greater sex life. Why make one girl pregnant when you can make the whole world pregnant, you see? That's another way of dealing with lust. Being a preacher, you see. Take that lusty propensity and dovetail it into spreading Krishna consciousness. making the whole world pregnant with love of God, you see. That's another way to get rid of your lust. Nice question, how to get rid of lust. Because if we all have this problem, you know, except a few of us like Guru Mataji. Okay. I came in the hippie background. We were very lusty. Prabhupada saved me. Even Srila Prabhupada detected the casual mentality in his followers in the beginning years, how to overcome it. Prabhupada said, actually Vishnu Jan Swami used to say, and he was trained by Prabhupada, he trained me, he said, casual means casualty. So don't be casual. You know, obadi, obada, life goes on. Wah. Not like that. Take it very, very seriously. That after millions and billions of lifetimes of rotating in the cycle of birth and death, going through the species, these lower species, the higher species being bashed again and again and again by the modes of nature, now I've gotten this opportunity to get out of this vicious cycle and go back to Krishna. So take it very, very seriously. More seriously than you've ever taken it. Millions and billions of lifetimes. That's how serious you must be. Otherwise you're a fool and a rascal if you don't take it seriously. How come we come into the material world if when we're in the spiritual world and we are pure devotees of the Lord, fully engaged in the Lord's service? Curiosity killed the cat. What would it be like if I was the Supreme? Very bad little daydream we had. Krishna, we have this, why can't I be the Supreme? Krishna says, okay, you can try being the Supreme. I'll give you a world where you can think you're the Supreme. And when you realize it was a mistake, you're welcome to come back. It's like, an example is, the mother's cooking, right? And the little child is so fascinated. She says, oh, mommy, mommy, mommy. Oh, that's so beautiful. She looks at the stove up there, the flame. She's enamored by the flames on the stove. Oh, it's so pretty, it's so pretty. You see, and the mother says, now don't touch it, it'll burn you, you see. But the child thinks, well, burn? I don't know what burn means, but it's so pretty. Why would mommy forbid me from something? Mommy shouldn't forbid me from something. So the mother goes out of the kitchen and the child sticks her hand in, oh, I want to see what it is. Oh, and the child sticks her hand in the fire, you see. The forbidden fruit. See? It's like in the Bible, you see that Adam and Eve were in the spiritual world, in the Garden of Eden, but there was one fruit, the forbidden. They couldn't take it, but Eve wanted it. But you were God. So, it doesn't happen very often, because there's a, Krishna consciousness is unlimitedly blissful, so, why would someone want to try being something other than the pure devotee of Krishna? What are the odds of it happening, really? Any pure devotee ever wanting to leave that position, the odds would be, of course, free will is there, right? So there must be some chance that it would happen, because everybody has free will. So what would be the mathematical odds that anybody in the spiritual world would ever want to leave? It has to be some possibility, because free will exists. So it would be 1 over infinity. Let's look at it realistically and scientifically, mathematically. What are the mathematical odds that somebody in the spiritual world would want to leave? 1 over infinity, the smallest possible number. There has to be, because we have the free choice, there has to be a facility to misuse that free choice. But the odds would be 1 over infinity. But how many living entities are there in the spiritual world? An infinite number. So what is the math? 1 over infinity times infinity equals, who are mathematicians here? 1 over infinity times infinity equals, I made straight A's in math, I'll answer the question. 1 1 over infinity times infinity equals infinity. Therefore, we have an infinite number of living entities who fall into material existence, and we just happen to be some of them. So it's not so important to think, well, why did I get here? The most important thing is, how can I get back? You spend all your thinking, how can I possibly fall down? Doesn't make sense. Instead of spending your energy to try to figure out how you fell down, spend your energy figuring out how you can get back. That's more intelligent. Now this is the last one, it looks like. I'll do 2 more and that's it, because we're going a little over time. While offering food, it is for Krishna's pleasure. What if a child in the home wants fried rice? Well, you have to teach the child, we're making fried rice for Krishna, not for you. That's all. If being the Supreme is forbidden fruit, why is Krishna the Supreme? It's not forbidden for Krishna, rascal. It's forbidden for you to be the Supreme, but it's not forbidden for Krishna to be the Supreme. I detect envy in that question. Now you're on the spot. So that's Krishna's position. It's his position to be the Supreme. It's not our position to be the Supreme. But here's an insider's secret. Why desire to be God? Krishna accepts his devotees as greater than him. So why be God when you can become greater than God? Krishna accepts his devotees as greater than him. Krishna becomes the sold-out servant of his pure devotees. Don't you see how he's bringing how he's carrying things for Nanda Maharaj? As a little servant, Krishna is acting as a servant of Nanda Maharaj. You've seen the Krishna book? He's bringing something. Mother said, just go and take that to your father. So Krishna goes and takes that to his father, you see. So Krishna is the sold-out servant of his pure devotees. So why would you want to have some lower position of being God when you can be the devotee of God? It's even higher than God in the transcendental Leelas. To be a devotee is greater than God in the Leelas. In the pure devotees, Krishna becomes the sold-out servant of his pure devotees. So why desire an inferior position of God when you can be this devotee of God? And God becomes subordinate to you. So that's it. Now everybody, you focus on going from Shraddha to Prema. If you're not initiated, you should be getting initiated. If you are initiated, don't take it casually. Take it very, very seriously to follow the orders of your Guru Maharaj, accepting him as your life and soul. Be strict in your sadhana. Be very strict in your sadhana. If you do so, you will progress to that point where you become fully awakened in your Swarup Siddhi. You become resituated in the spiritual world and your original eternal relationship with Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Who would like a garland?
His Grace Sankarshan Das Adhikari Maharaj ki Jai.
Who would like another garland?